So zakat has been obligated in Islam through the Quran, the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and ijma, or the consensus of the scholars of Islam. We start with the Quran. What proof do you have for zakat obligation? There are several ayahs, more than 32 verses in the Quran. They mention zakat alongside salah. For example, in Surah Al-Bayyinah, Surah number 98, verse 5. وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ حُنَفَاءَ وَيُقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَيُؤْتُوا الزَّكَاةَ وَذَلِكَ الدِّينُ الْقَيِّمَ. This is the only verse in the Quran in Juzu Amma that talks about Salah and Zakah. Juzu Amma has around 39 chapters, but only one verse in that chapter talks about Salah and Zakah. We go to Surah Al-Baqarah, the longest chapter in the Quran, with 286 verses. Chapter 2, verse 43. وَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَآتُوا الزَّكَاةَ وَارْكَعُوا مَعَ الرَّاكِعِينَ. So these verses and more verses, they show the obligation of zakat in Quran. In the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it has been narrated by Al-Bukhari and Muslim on the authority of Ibn Abbas, who said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he sent Mu'adh bin Jabal to Yemen, Mu'adh ibn Jabal, he is one of the Sahabas or the companions among the Ansar. So when he was sent to Yemen by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said there will come people. When they come, invite them to testify that there is no Allah, there is no other God worth of worship except Allah. And Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, am the messenger of Allah. If they obey you and do so, or if they accept that, then teach them that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has enjoined unto them the daily prayers in every night and in every day, 24 hours. If they obey you and do so, then tell them, inform them that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has obligated upon them to pay zakah, and it is taken from the rich among them and it is given to the poor among them. So this is a hadith informing us that zakat is obligated through the Prophet's sunnah. There is another hadith also narrated by Al-Bukhari and Muslim, when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, "Bunya al-Islam ala khams." Islam is built on 5. Shahadatu an la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammad Rasulullah. The second one, iqamatu salah. The third one, ita'u zakat. The fourth one, Sawmu Ramadan, and the last one being Hajjul Bayt man istata'a ilayhi sabila. So these and other hadith they give us the evidence that zakat is obligated in Islam through the Prophet's Sunnah. Among the deeds and the sayings of the Sahaba, of the scholars, that is called ijma, they have agreed that zakat is obligated and it's obligatory. It's also narrated that when Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu took over leadership, we all know that he was faced by very many challenges. One of the challenges is that some people refused to pray, to perform salah. Others refused to give out zakah. So Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu declared war on those who refused to pay zakah and on those who refused to pray. Umar radiallahu anhu, he stood up and asked him, why do you kill someone who has testified, who has pronounced the shahada? And we all know Umar. Umar is the second Khalifa of the Muslims. And among the characteristics of Umar, he speaks after the spoke of the sword. Like there was a situation, someone came to Umar radiallahu anhu. He wanted a judgment on something. Umar asked him, did this issue, was it solved by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? He said yes. Was it solved by Abu Bakr? He said yes. So he told him, wait, I'm coming. When he came back, he chopped off his head and then said, if the Prophet ﷺ made a judgment and you are not satisfied, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu made a judgment and you are not satisfied, how will you be satisfied with my judgment? He's talking to a person who is dead. So he talks after the stroke of the sword. So when Omar stood up and asked Abu Bakr, why do we kill someone who has testified that there's no God other than Allah and Muhammad is the messenger of Allah? He said, if the people were giving out even a rope during the Prophet's time, and this time they are not giving it out, I will fight them until they give out. That's why there is this war that is called the war of apostasy. Those who had refused to pay zakah and those who had refused to pray. So this is an indication that nobody objected when Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu decided that anyone who has refused to pray after the death of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and anyone who has refused to give even a lamb, it's called a kid for a goat, if they were giving it out during the Prophet's time, and this time they are not giving it out, Abu Bakr was ready to fight them. So it shows that zakat is obligatory through the unanimous agreement of the scholars. So what happens to the following? Whoever denies the obligation of zakat knowingly, he knows that zakat is obligatory and he is not giving out. For example, he is a Muslim, he has been nurtured as a Muslim, he has lived with the scholars, and he knows that zakat is obligatory and he is not giving it out, he becomes a disbeliever. and the punishment for apostasy applies to him. He is supposed to be killed. If one denies the obligation of zakat unknowingly, he doesn't know, this one is considered as he's supposed to be educated because he doesn't know. And anyone who denies zakat due to stinginess, he knows zakat is obligatory, but just due to his stinginess, he does not become a disbeliever, but he has committed a sin. If one denies the obligation of zakat and yet he is ruled by a Muslim leader, he will be compelled to pay his or her zakat, and the Muslim leader doesn't take except what is supposed to be paid. And if he denies the obligation of zakat and yet he is not ruled by a Muslim leader, like in our Kenya today, he is fought until he pays zakah. So these are some of the rulings depending on whoever has denied zakat on whatever reason may be.